percent on a test, but when you look at that, optimism for the
Yeah.
next 4 years, considering what we've been through as a country, why
Yeah,
are they so
I agree with
optimistic?
that.
That is
Well,
the key question, and the answer is the economy, Gail. Let me show you this. One of the big reasons, if not the big reason, that Donald
okay,
Trump
I'm gonna
won
go
was
with.
Americans' dissatisfaction with what they said was a bad economy, and also specifically about
And
prices,
then
inflation. Well, look at this. Especially for Trump voters, they
I'm
expect
gonna
now
go
his
and
policies
pull
to
that.
bring down grocery prices. We all know President
Hang
Trump has
on.
magic wants to do that. President Biden found that out, right? But at the same time, this really sets up a key
So
metric
everybody
to
can
watch
see.
going forward. And then I'll also show you this. You've got the expectations for the U.S. economy. Right now, as I said, the rate is bad. But when we ask them, what do you expect for 2025? It's that the economy will be good. So that's really the first thing, voters tell us this, it's the first thing they want the new president to address.
And then, Anthony, what about immigration?
Yeah, this is also interesting because all through the campaign, we saw that there was support for things like deportation, and that's still the case among all Americans. You see
I'm gonna
approval
take this
of the
volume
idea, in
down.
principle, of starting a program to deport immigrants who are in the U.S.
Okay,
illegally. Someone like Donald
just
Trump said to
so
Trump voters, after a
I
short
don't get
time,
nicked by YouTube.
so we talk about these executive orders, we talk about these policies, the reports
If
to
everybody
Congress.
knows what I'm talking about, when YouTube decides to nick ya, and then all hell breaks loose.
Be carried out, things get more mixed. Not necessarily, folks say, using the U.S. military to do that, maybe
Pardon my
using
French.
law enforcement. And of course, there's a lot of details in this. This is one of the things we're going to watch as the administration goes forward.
Anthony Salvanto, thank you so much. One of the chief Washington correspondent, Major Garrett. He's on Capitol Hill, and Major, immigration at the
Whoops.
centerpiece of Donald Trump's ability to beat Kamala Harris and say it's time for a change here in Washington.
Sure, that's right. There'll be tremendous executive actions and
I'm gonna put this.
legislative action on immigration. That's one of the key areas of
The peaceful transfer of American power. Right here on YouTube. Okay. I'm just. Uh, well, not just that. Well, then I agree with that. Well, hang on. Yes, there. Because. Okay. Right. Huh. Uranium? What the hell is that? Whoops.
He was going to read evacuation instructions on that day.
No.
It was a day where you learn serious things.
This is
I'm
just got a
don't
share
want-
that with Susie Wise, who is going to be the first female chief of staff.
I'll be right back, everybody.
She rules with an iron fist, and many people credit her with not only the success of this presidential election for Donald Trump, but also bringing order and stability to the many people that are around Donald Trump. And Robert, one of the things that has been reported too is that even as they get ready to enter the White House, she's already set up to change some of the things that perhaps hampered the president in his first term, which is the open access into the Oval Office.
She also, Nora, has a deep understanding of President-elect Trump's personality. So while she is trying to regulate the White House and the West Wing in a new way to make it more organized, sources close to President Trump tell me she doesn't try to control his phone or control his schedule in a strict way. She understands that he likes to have a wide circle of communication where he talks to lawmakers and other people outside of the government to get their view. But she wants to make sure that there is order inside of the White House. She was not part of that disruptive, to say the least, first year of the Trump presidency in 2017. Trump calls her the ice maiden.
I've also heard that she likes to be behind the scenes. She doesn't like to be front and center, which I would think would be an asset in this
She
administration.
has been on television since the election, and on election night she declined to make remarks when President-elect Trump invited her to do so. That's reflective of her personality and the way she will
Yeah,
manage this.
I'm gonna actually put that up there.
To the Bush era, the staffer era, to be first and foremost at the service of the President of the United States. Some of the reforms we heard that she is enacting is to make sure that people have specially coded passes so that people cannot get inside that inner sanctum of the President, and to lobby him. Hear the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. There you have it, answering the obvious, which we've heard, which is a lot of executive orders coming today about that access to the Oval Office.
The point you made, Nora, you said she's changing the badges, their famous blue badge to have access to the Oval Office. They're now going to become gold and platinum badges inside of the West Wing.
Which is better? Which is better?
I believe it'll be gold.
Platinum.
No, platinum.
Ha! Platinum badges? Oh boy.
Said many times, he makes phones as he wants to, and he has his residence phone and his own cell phone.
I'm fascinated, Bob, that you seem to talk to him on a regular basis.
I've known President-elect Trump for 14 years and have been interviewing him and speaking to him for a long time. And he is someone, this is part of the comeback story. A total outsider in American politics now, twice president of the United States.
There's a history to this chief of staff business. The chief of staff is the gatekeeper, and basically helps promote the president's ideas and marshal his forces towards his agenda. And there's always a ping pong back and forth between the
Looking at the White House right now, everybody.
with the chief of staff, which was kind of the Nixon model. He didn't much like his cabinet. And then Ford opened it up. Everybody comes in, and ultimately in the Ford administration, Dick
Yeah.
Cheney said no. And the metaphor for this was a bicycle wheel. The president at the center with all the spokes, and Cheney
Yeah.
broke all the spokes and had to just
I will be going live later today.
communication to have the White House.
Not on the Shady Night Homes channel, but I will be going live for the national championship game. So this is kind of like a warm up for the national championship game, so I can fine tune everything and get everything sorted right with TV and my computer. So yeah, so actually why I have this cleanup, actually, before, I don't want to get nicked by YouTube. Let me come on camera. Okay, there we go. As you guys can see, because of the day, I got the White House shirt on. Just because of I don't want to offend no person who voted for Biden or Kamala or Trump. I just got the White House shirt on. I've been to DC before. So yeah. And I don't want nothing bad happening today.
It reminded me when FDR did win in 1933. Early on, he took Herbert Hoover's name off the Hoover Dam and put Bolton Dam on it to punish.
And they're now, President-elect Donald Trump, along with President Biden, entering into the motorcade together. And this is a tradition for the presidents to ride together to the swearing-in ceremonies.
One looks at January 6th. Add to that the pardoning or preemptive pardon of Dr. Fauci, which seems to be happening with Joe Biden. But it's an attempt to put the two monstrous events that swept the land, the COVID-19 pandemic and January 6th, behind us, but with both Trump and Biden using pardon powers. And in this day, what we're watching right now, to me, what's historical, it used to be FDR almost branded the first 100 days. Trump is doing day one. He did that over and over again and branded day one. And when you're signing these sweeping executive orders, this is not a traditional afternoon we're seeing here when the Gulf of Mexico is going to become the Gulf of America. Denali is going to go back to McKinley. And so there's a kind of, he's living up to his campaign pledge, but it's sort of punitive.
Here is the
Did win in 1933. Early on, he took Herbert Hoover's name off.
the president and the president-elect
And they're now,
are
President-elect Donald Trump, along with
going to be riding together up to the Capitol.
the motorcade together. And this is a tradition for the presidents to ride together to the swearing-in ceremonies.
And here is the national championship game stream.
Since 1837,
Yep.
when Martin Van Buren and Andrew Jackson rode together, like I mentioned earlier, in a carriage made from wood taken from the USS Constitution. And as we noted too, the first lady in a different motorcade, the vice president, the vice president-elect in a different motorcade. This opportunity for them to ride together at this momentous time from the White House to the Capitol.
Let me see if the VP comes on at all.
Say the least, first year of the Trump presidency in 2017.
Yep.
She rules with an iron fist, and many people credit her with not only the success of this presidential election for Donald Trump, but also bringing order and stability to the many people that are around
Okay.
Donald Trump. And one of the things that has been reported too is that even as they get ready to enter the White House, she's already set up to change some of the things that perhaps hampered the president in his first term, which is the open access into the Oval Office.
She also, Laura, has a deep understanding of President-elect Trump's personality. So while she is trying to regulate the White House and the West Wing in a new way to make it more organized, sources close to President-elect Trump tell me she doesn't try to control his phone or control his schedule.
That was the VP and VP-elect J.D. Vance and Kamala Harris.
And other people outside of the government to get their view, but she wants to make sure that there is order inside of the White House. She was not part of that disruptive, to say the least, first year of the Trump presidency in 2017. Trump calls her the ice maiden.
I've also heard that she likes to be behind the scenes. She doesn't like to be front and center, which I would think would be an asset in this
She
administration.
has not been on television since the election, and on election night she declined to make remarks when President-elect Trump invited her to do so. That's reflective of her personality and the way she will manage this White House.
It's almost a throwback in some ways to the Bush era, the staffer era, to be first and foremost at the service of the President of the United States. Some of the reforms we heard that she is enacting is to make sure that that people have specially coded passes so that people cannot get inside that inner sanctum of the president and
Ah.
to lobby him. Here, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. There you have it, answering the obvious, which we've heard, which is a lot of executive orders coming today about that access to
Just
the Oval
briefly,
Office.
the point you made, Nora, you said she's changing the badges, the famous blue badge to have access to the Oval Office. They're now going to become gold and platinum badges inside of the West Wing.
Which is better? Which is better?
I believe the gold.
Platinum. No, platinum's more expensive than gold.
But
Costa, who controls the
Yeah.
phones and the phones?
He does. As we know, as we reported at CBS so many times, he makes calls as he wants to, and he just has his president's phone and his own cell phone.
I'm fascinated, Bob, that you seem to talk to him on a regular basis.
I've known President-elect Trump for 14 years and have been interviewing him and speaking to him for a long time. And he is someone, this is part of the comeback story. A total outsider in American politics now, twice president of the United States.
There's a history to this chief of staff business. The chief of staff is the gatekeeper, and basically helps promote the president's ideas and marshal his forces towards his agenda. And there's always a ping pong back and forth between the cloistered president, who only has a communication with the chief of staff, which was kind of the Nixon model. He didn't much like his cabinet. And then Ford opened it up. Everybody comes in. And ultimately, in the Ford administration, Dick Cheney said no. And the metaphor for this was a bicycle wheel. The president, the center with all the spokes. And Cheney broke all the other spokes and had just one single spoke, that one line of communication to have an operational White House. He gifted that to the Carter White House,
Ha.
saying you've got to run it this way. Carter didn't, and now Carter had no chief of staff. That's right. He thought he could do it himself.
On this note, let's bring in historian Douglas Brinkley, who has also done so much studying of the American presidency. Douglas?
Well, what's striking to me today is that we're looking at these massive pardons of that. The fact that the January 6th insurrectionists, as we're calling them, are now called by incoming President Trump. He's calling them the J-Day, heroes, basically. And that's a radical departure on how one looks at January 6th. Add to that the pardoning or preemptive pardon of Dr. Fauci, which seems to be happening with Joe Biden. But it's an attempt to put the two monstrous events that swept the land, the COVID-19 pandemic and January 6th, behind us, but with both Trump and Biden using pardon powers. And in this day, what we're watching right now, to me, what's historical, it used to be FDR almost branded the first 100 days. Trump is doing day one. He did that over and over again and branded day one. And when you're signing these sweeping executive orders, this
Sweeping?
is not a traditional afternoon we're seeing here when the Gulf of Mexico is going to become the Gulf of America, and Death Alley is going to go back to McKinley. And so there's a kind of, he's leading up to his campaign pledge, but it's sort of punitive. It reminded me when FDR did win in 1933, early on he took Herbert Hoover's name off the Hoover Dam and put Bolton Dam on it to punish.
And there now, President-elect Donald Trump, along with President Biden, entering into the motorcade together.
Yep.
And this is a tradition for the presidents to ride together to the swearing-in ceremonies, a tradition that has endured with a few exceptions since 1837, when Martin Van Buren and Andrew Jackson rode together, like I mentioned earlier, in a carriage made from wood taken from the USS Constitution. And as we noted too, the First Ladies are in a different motorcade, the Vice President and Vice President-elect in a different motorcade. This opportunity for them to ride together at this momentous time from the White House to the Capitol for this peaceful transfer of power. And Senator Roy Blunt has been part of this in the past as part of the inaugural committee. Senator?
Well, I have. I was able to make that ride with President Trump and President Obama before. I've also always wondered, I've been in several inaugurations, at what moment does the current president feel the lifting of weight? And I think you can almost visibly see it if you look as the new president takes the oath of office, at what moment
Ha! Yeah. Oh yeah. Forgot to show you guys an image. I'm gonna hit stop. Um,
The chief military guy there who was helping me. Your job, if we have to leave this podium early, we have to leave this platform early. Your job is to see that somebody goes with the president, preferably the chief justice, the president-elect. If the president has been sworn in yet, they can swear him in at 12 o'clock. If we've had to leave the platform early, I don't want any question as to who's the president that has to make those decisions from 12 o'clock on.
Wow. Just look at this motorcade right now and you think it was nearly 10 years ago that Donald Trump came down that golden escalator at Trump Tower. And what has happened in that near decade since? And it was only in late May of this year he was convicted in a New York court. It was only in July he survived an assassination attempt.
yeah.
And now, January 20th, 2025, he's about to be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. What a political journey, something we have not ever seen before in American history. We're now witnessing it in real time.
Yep.
Just think about that, the power from Joe Biden going back to Donald Trump in the too.
Yeah.
Fascinating to see.
Here comes the presidential limo, the new model. I'll show you guys that after he is sworn into office, because I do not want to show it to you before or during when he is still president-elect of the United States of America, because I don't want nothing to happen to law enforcement or to him, because if something does happen to him, even if he's in office, I'll tell you this much: the next person in the presidential line of succession would be then J.D. Vance, who is right now 9:49 my time, 10:49 out there.
And as we watch President Biden and President-elect Trump heading to Capitol Hill, we're going to take
No,
a quick break.
11:49.
CBS News coverage of Donald Trump's inauguration. We'll be right back.
Whatever time it is out in D.C. But my point to everybody who is watching my stream right now is J.D. Vance would take the oath of office if something happened to Donald J. Trump. And I don't want to show you it because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube or by law enforcement. And I don't want nothing to happen to the current president of the United States, which is Joe Biden. I respect him, but I may not agree with his political decisions. If everybody knows what I'm talking about.
There not being enough consideration, being taken advantage of. It's like competing with a computer.
I am definitely sick of government overreach.
And the Speaker of the House said that the incoming president is going to be signing a lot of executive orders.
If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
I haven't done this on any of my streams at all. This is the first time I've done covering a incoming and outgoing president on my stream, so that's why you see me taking a lot of precautions and the camera just sitting right here on me.
Whenever anything involves plumbing, the first call I make is to Maxwell White. Their technicians put together a great final product.
Wisconsin, one of those places where families spend their winters among frozen lakes and snow-covered hills. With all the fun they're having, it's easy to take for granted how they grew up by the far adjusting their thermostat. But for some of us, it's not that easy. Some of us need to decide whether to heat or to eat, or to further neglect our basic survival needs. We are working families, elderly, disabled, and veterans, all struggling to pay record heating bills. These dangerous temperatures aren't just uncomfortable for us. They can be deadly. If you are struggling to decide if you can put food on the table or heat your home, please reach out for a hand up. No one deserves to suffer when we can help each other.
T-Mobile is very reliable.
It's always nice to know that T-Mobile has us covered.
I love the fact that my family and I, we can stay connected just about anywhere we want to go.
My network is my lifeline.
T-Mobile keeps you connected on America's largest and fastest 5G network. Right now, switch and keep your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800. See how you can save on every plan versus Verizon and AT&T at T-Mobile.com/keep-and-switch. Here at Maxwell White, we know how valuable it is.
Huh.
From ensuring hot water to slower clock drinks, our team is always on time with friendly service and solutions you can trust. Don't wait. Contact Maxwell White. Plumbing done right.
First warn weather on News 8 Now.
Welcome back to CBS News coverage of the inauguration of the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump. You are watching the motorcade carrying President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump, the Vice President-elect and current Vice
None of them have.
And there you see Vivek Ramaswamy, we mentioned earlier. That presidential primary as well.
And one of the things we'll expect to see
Yeah.
when we talk about the new president signing many things today, among the things I would anticipate.
You also saw Walter as well. He just actually stepped down from his role as a member.
Hundreds of millions of dollars to help elect Donald Trump, strong supporter of Israel, and she's standing right next to the aforementioned Dana White there. These are all close friends. Oh, and that's the head of LVMH. And other supporters there. Forgive me, it's just about everyone that is gathered. I need a famous logo here, you never know. Yeah. And there you have Dan Quayle. There you have there with his wife, and we are expecting, as we heard as well, of course, former vice presidents are invited, and we are expecting to see Mike Pence, who has confirmed that he is attending. Want to bring in, as we watch these arrivals, Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett. He's also at the Capitol. Major.
This is the ceremonial recasting for the nation of what the meaning of January 6, 2021 actually was. Corporate America estranged itself from then President Trump, and many in the Republican Party thought his political career was effectively over. He is now returning as president to the very place where those who supported him rioted on Capitol Hill to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power and overturn a legal and fairly held presidential election. What we're seeing here is a complete recontextualization of what January 6th means. Those who long supported President Trump believe it was just a momentary spasm, a reflection of anger that grew out of COVID-19 and lockdowns. Many others, President Biden in particular, in his inaugural address 4 years ago, said it was a symptom of something dark and dangerous in America. White supremacy, extremists, terrorists within the United States. He warned about all of those dark forces coming back into America. Whether those are dark forces or not, President Trump returns to power and can recontextualize all of January 6, 2021 as something that, if it's momentary or not, did not discourage him and did not dissuade the American public from reinvesting him with powers he's about to possess in the room and the Capitol Rotunda in moments from now.
An excellent point, Major Garrett. Thank you. And there is going to be massive change here in Washington, though.
There is. It was notable there, Nora, that Mike Pence, the former vice president, walked in by himself. Karen Pence was not with him. And we talked earlier about what was clearly tension between her and the former president. Remembering on January 6th, she was sheltering in safety along with some of their children, as I understand it, and the vice president, as those mobs who were storming the Capitol, trying to
Chain Mike.
exactly.
I think as a wife, that's very difficult to forget.
Understandable. And she can't forget. We're acknowledging the awkwardness. I don't know if irony and awkward are the right words to even choose when we talk about Joe Biden peacefully transferring power to Donald Trump, whose supporters tried to stop that transfer of power in 2021. And the Biden campaign that ran on this idea of an existential threat to democracy, even in that farewell speech that President Biden just delivered, warning of this dark future, saying stand guard, talking about oligarchs as we look at these CEOs in the room, tech billionaires, and today walking side by side in this diplomatic, genteel way, as if none of that had happened, as if we had not heard an entire presidential campaign warning us of the dark future should Donald Trump be elected. We're now going to test and see what happens. Nora, it's also interesting to see who was invited to this inauguration. There are a number of leaders. That is unusual, but it's also unusual to see who was personally invited. One of them, the Prime Minister of Italy, a conservative leader within Europe. That seems a symbolic invitation, but there are also party leaders from within Europe, as you and I spoke about the other day, from the very far-right movements, anti-immigrant movements within Europe, in Germany and in France, who sent representatives. And as you hear Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, who's not there, but a dear friend of Donald Trump, say it, he sees this return to power by Mr. Trump as a sign of a global shift towards the far right, empowering a conservative global movement. That's how he and his political advisor describe what we're about to see here.
You see Jeff Bezos and Ron Sanchez, his fiance, just arrived, standing next to Mark Zuckerberg in his way. This is the channel, we haven't heard anything from this man. Consider Mark Zuckerberg has made a lot of news lately.
That's right. So what we are seeing, Gail, as you just pointed out, the world's richest men are all here at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. Elon Musk is number one at that, worth over $2 billion, and then Jeff Bezos, around $200 billion, give or take here. Bernard Arnault,
Yeah.
And others gathered here for this inauguration along with their members of their family. And I should just point out that shortly we are going to hear the introduction of former President Clinton, then former President George W. Bush, former President Barack Obama, and then this whole ceremony will begin. John Dickerson.
Well, I was just wondering whether in the history of mankind there has ever been a geographical location that has had more wealth collected in it than what we're looking at right now.
And as we mentioned, this is the introduction of former President Clinton and former First Lady and Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton as they make their way to the Rotunda platform. Normally this would be through the chute, right, which is down that red carpet onto the inaugural platform, that majestic platform, which for now, it took months to build, is just gathering some snow.
It's a great feeling to be introduced coming down that platform. I will tell you that. I'll also mention that President Clinton and Mrs. Clinton were, of course, there 8 years ago. They came to the lunch, the very small 200-person lunch afterwards, and President Trump specifically expressed his gratitude that they were both there and for their service to the country. It's that kind of moment when a lot of things are put aside. Sometimes they're pretty quickly recaptured, but this is it's more about democracy than party.
And as we mentioned, these are members of Donald Trump's family that you just saw there, and former President Barack Obama heading to the Rotunda platform, not joined by Michelle Obama. She did not also come to Washington for the funeral of Jimmy Carter, just recently celebrating her birthday.
Presidential Inauguration Committee. Committee co-chair, Mr. Steve Witkoff.
And just mentioned the committee co-chair, Steve Witkoff, who in addition to these responsibilities as co-chair of the inaugural committee, Margaret Brennan has just recently returned from Israel after working to help broker that deal to bring the hostages home.
Donald Trump's best friend, as he describes himself, also real estate developer, and now the closer on this major diplomatic deal between Israel and Hamas. We'll have to see if the Trump team is able to continue to corral both sides to stay on track with a very complex deal that, if it works, would see the return of as many as 3 Americans who are still believed to be held hostage by Hamas and other terror groups.
Does still Trump call him the best friend, Margaret, or is he said self-professed best friend?
I don't know. Ask Bob. Throw a lot of
You
questions
know
in the
the
next little
answer
call.
to that question.
There are a lot of so-called best friends here
Exactly.
for President-elect Trump.
Margaret, on the hostage ceasefire deal, are you of the view that it took both presidents to get this done?
Yes.
If they both hadn't been involved, it wouldn't have happened.
It is absolutely
Yeah.
remarkable, and the Biden team is very clear about that. We had the negotiator, Brett McGurk, on Face the Nation yesterday. He calls Steve Witkoff also a friend. At this point, it was the idea that you can't find divisions between the two administrations, and the fear on the Israeli side that Donald Trump, who has been such an ally of Benjamin Netanyahu, might not take so kindly if he says no to a deal he wants. That helped. So while Brett McGurk was in Doha pressing the Qataris to get Hamas, it was Steve Witkoff pressing the Israelis to get to yes, and that combined power got them there. Now we'll have to see if they can keep them on track with this deal to bring those Americans back and the rest of the hostages.
We just saw Tim Cook a moment ago talking to someone, but I'm curious, Senator, have you ever seen this many business leaders and these business leaders at this stature at an inauguration before?
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember.
Me too.
Been at the Obama. I think not. And of course, so much of this wealth has been created in the last decade. It's an incredible accumulation of wealth and success by these individuals, and frankly, they don't all get along all that well together. So they don't hang around together a lot.
Trump will get sworn in by Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts, and J.D. Vance, the 50th Vice President, will get sworn in by Associate Justice of the United States, Brett Kavanaugh.
Donald Trump trying to make the case last night to his supporters with Capital One Arena, in his words, that he's gotten more done than, in his words, Joe Biden has gotten done in 4 months. You can see already trying to draw that contest, even on the day before inauguration, which is usually a lot of glad handing and pleasantries.
Here are the order of events. On the morning of January 19th, Trump, Vance visit Arlington National Cemetery, where they will place a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier, where they're joined by family members of some of the descendants of the 2021 Kabul airport attack. The evening, Trump campaign organization supporters at Capital One Arena, Washington, D.C., performed by Kid Rock, Lee Greenwood, speeches by Trump, Megyn Kelly. Trump danced to that was the Supreme Court justices and associate justices, led by John Roberts. He will be sworn in.
And Justice Brett Kavanaugh will be issuing the oath of office to J.D. Vance. And a reminder that one of these justices, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, put into office by Joe Biden, but 3 of these justices were appointed by and confirmed by the Senate under Donald Trump, and has remarkably changed the landscape of the Supreme Court. Want to bring in Chief Washington Correspondent Major Garrett. And Major, given the changes that Donald Trump was able to enact during his presidency, and then Joe Biden, what do you see happening even in his first year of office?
Yeah, what I hear and what I envision for this second Trump administration, Nora, is emphasis on immigration,
Inauguration Day on January 20, 2025. The inauguration had been published by the Joint Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies. The National Park Service will schedule the following closures of events. Swearing in ceremony. During the swearing, President and Vice President take the oath of office. It's been moved from outside to inside due to the inclement weather.
There'll be a tactical decision to encourage as much domestic energy exploration as possible. That's natural gas, liquefied natural gas, oil, all of that in the drill baby drill umbrella that Trump talked about relentlessly during the campaign, and a transformative approach to immigration that may not land well
And then
businesses in this country.
inaugural lunch.
In fact, workplace enforcement take laborers out of the economy. That's to be determined. But certainly the American public will support efforts to
At inaugural Statue Hall, the President, the Vice President are scheduled to attend that. Before that,
Major Garrett, thank you.
they will take the former President and Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris out,
Trump's 5 children.
say goodbye to them.
Entrance into the Capitol Rotunda. They are last of the Trump family we'll see before we see Joe Biden and Doug Emhoff introduced. And Robert, talk just about how close his children are with the president-elect in terms of advising him, supporting him, being inside that inner circle.
They're everything. Remember, President-elect Trump grew up at his father Fred Trump's side, and he was told from a young age, you trust family. Everybody else maybe have a bit of a question mark.
And then both the President and the Vice President, then President Trump, and then Vice President J.D. Vance will see a pass-in review by the United States military. And then they'll get into the presidential state call, which is the ones that carry the Vice President of the United States and the President of the United States back to the White House. The possession, that is the procession, and then they will see a parade in front of the White House. I'm not going to go into the protest, the inaugural ball will be at
ceremony, but a lot of important things also happening today, and I want to ask Senator Blunt about that, because there are reports that Pentagon officials do not know who will run the government's largest agency, the Defense Department. Donald Trump has not signaled. So what does that mean?
Well, I think the time between now and the time that the Defense Secretary is confirmed, whoever that turns out to be, it's really important to know, and surely those signals will come right away. The President would understand that you've got to have a chain of command, and I think he'll follow up on that.
We've heard reports about other agencies, about people that would be leading them. Those names have been made public. Is it notable that we haven't heard who should be leading the Defense Department?
I don't know that it's notable. I do think it's extraordinary how deeply they've gone into these agencies, the various, not just the service secretaries, but their undersecretaries, their chiefs of staff. if this was done in such detail before, I didn't see it done by anybody, and I certainly didn't see it done by Donald Trump the first time. I don't think he's going to miss something as important as knowing who's in control of the Defense Department at noon today. You still have the Joint Chiefs in place, and that's important to understand. You still have the Joint Chiefs in place. So we know who's in charge of every agency. We know who's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. So to some extent, the Defense Department takes care of itself. But I think he'll be very clear about what civilian person is filling that role in the end. You know, I just noticed another kind of interesting, the entertainment here, Carrie Underwood, that's always a challenge. It was particularly a challenge for Trump in the first term, just getting entertainers generally. And it's nice to see we seem to have turned a corner on that. But even 4 years ago, the Biden administration had the Biden team had a country music singer who was going to sing. They never announced it. On the Thursday before the election, before the inauguration, he said he didn't think he could come, and they called Garth Brooks that day.
The Honorable Dan Quayle, accompanied by Mrs. Marilyn Quayle, and the Honorable Michael Pence.
And thus begins the announcement of the former vice presidents. We should note that we have learned that the entire Biden press staff has officially left the building, that Karine Jean-Pierre was the last to leave. Andrew Jackson's portrait is already back up on the wall. And Biden press staffer tells CBS News that the Reagan rug, which is the rug that Reagan used and Trump previously used, is back. They had to disassemble the president's desk to switch out the rugs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 42nd President of the United States, the Honorable William J. Clinton, accompanied by the Honorable Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 43rd President of the United States, the Honorable George W. Bush, accompanied by Mrs. Laura Bush.
The music you hear is the presidential band.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 44th President of the United States, the Honorable Barack H. Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Justice of the United States, the Honorable John G. Roberts, Jr., and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Huh. Wonder what the hell is taking them so long.
And we're waiting now for the introduction of the president and president-elect, and as we can see, Dr. Biden entering with the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff.
Tiffany Trump and Barron Trump.
Yep. Ha! I'm gonna put that on mute. Fucking thing.
It's banned now from federal devices.
I'm curious about the seating.
Ladies and
Where's the
gentlemen,
Chinese
escorting
representative
Dr.
sitting?
Biden and Mr.
Here they
Emhoff,
come.
the Republican staff director of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Ms. Emily Leviner, the Senate Secretary for the Minority, the Honorable Gary Myrick, the House of Representatives Chief Administrative Officer, the Honorable Catherine Spindor, and Mr. Bruce Fisher. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jill Biden and Mr. Douglas Emhoff.
And now the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Biden, who has done so much for military families in her service as First Lady of the United States.
Yeah.
And though Biden had served in the National Guard and had served overseas, and they first started the initiative with Michelle Obama, First Lady, and she continued that then as First Lady, making sure that military families receive the attention that they deserve and the support that they need. It's been one of her hallmark issues. And of course, Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman, has done a lot of initiatives to fight anti-Semitism, and that has been at the forefront of his agenda. And you can see he's seated right next to Bill Clinton there. And it doesn't take any special analysis to see people are tightly packed.
Yes.
Yes.
And behind President Clinton, you see a man with glasses. That's Phil Ruffin from Las Vegas, the casino owner, Treasure Island, one of the closest friends of President-elect Trump, 89 years old, someone the President-elect talks to all the time, and he has a prime seat.
It's one of the close supporters, and as you said, friends of the president. It's also remarkable to see, I believe, every single one of our Supreme Court justices there in the front row as Justice Kavanaugh will deliver the oath to Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, and then the Chief Justice to the incoming President of the United States. Those words are important in delivering the oath, because when he did it with Barack Obama, he missed a word, and it was Barack Obama who caught it and insisted that that night they redo it at Blair House to make sure that there was no question about whether Barack Obama was the legitimate President of the United States, because there was a word missing in the oath of the office. And Senator Blunt, you were there.
I was there and I remember that happening.
Did you catch the missing word, or it was just Barack Obama's fine ears that...
I did not, but I swore the new governor of Missouri in a week ago, and I'm sure I got every word. I didn't want to be part of a lawsuit.
Looking at
That's
it,
right.
that's right. I have to say, I'm looking at this crowd. I do not see many people of color. Does anybody else besides me observe that? I'm fascinated by why that is.
On Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the most notable and one of the most high-ranking is Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, first black woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court, notably appointed by Joe Biden as he wanted to follow in the footsteps of Jimmy Carter in appointing a number of women and black women to the federal judgeships.
General Brown, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is probably there. In fact, that might be the side of his head. No, because he's there. What I can't tell.
No,
I can't tell from this. But he was undoubtedly there.
Yeah, I saw Jim Clyburn. I saw him.
You will see Christine Noem there in the light blue suit, the governor of North Dakota, who is the president's choice to lead the Department of Homeland Security, and she will play a key role in carrying out for these executive orders that have been signaled, Margaret, in terms of the mass deportation that Donald Trump has promised.
Yes, the South Dakota governor will. She had at one point been considered as a vice presidential running mate by the Trump team. A book she published may have gotten in the way of that, but is not getting in the way, it would appear at this point, of her rising to a very key role. She will be working alongside a newly created role of a border czar and Tom Homan. Also working with Stephen Miller, who will be the architect within the Trump administration of upcoming immigration policy. So she will be in a key position.
I thought that was a very diplomatic way to phrase it, Margaret, that the book she's written may have gotten in the way of that. And the anecdote that she told about killing her dog, and she detailed it. It's the type of thing that no one would have known about it, but she, and I think people were surprised that she included that.
Patrick, your appointment. Let's go. Get your shoes on.
And she said that she met the leader of North Korea, and then said somebody else
Peace.
put that in her book that she wrote. And